You have got an MFA as well, and you've become a professor of children's literature. Is that right? Is
Yes.
that a full-time arrangement, or how does that work at this point?
No, it's part-time. So right now, it's usually a class. So I teach at Hamline, low residency MFA program, which is part-time, and I teach at Rosemont MFA, and that's usually a class a semester. And it's mostly for several reasons. Number one, I love teaching and I love talking about writing and I love talking about books. Um, and also, though, from a kind of a selfish standpoint, is writing can be very solitary. It can be very isolating, and being able to teach in these great MFA programs is a way to build community for the students, but also for the faculty. And so it kind of helps get us out of our writer bubbles, which is important because if you write and that's what you do full time, it can get, you kind of get in this writer bubble. And I like to break out of that bubble and talk writing with other writers, with students. So that's the arrangement I have right now, teaching.
So outside of the students, do you have critique partners, writing friends that you call up and say, "Hey, publishing's not for you today, and I need to cry on your shoulder"? Or I'm assuming that's never happened to you. Maybe they're calling to cry on your shoulder.
I do. I have one specific, I have more than one writer friend, but I have one writing partner, and every week we do check-ins to see what we're working on and swap pages if we're working on something. And that's been an incredible gift because I didn't know how the arrangement would work out because, like I said, I don't write every day, and sometimes I can go a week or two without writing anything. So when we decided to pair up and keep each other accountable, I wasn't sure how it was going to work, but it turned out to be, one of the best things. And it actually started right before COVID hit. We decided we were going to meet every week at the coffee shop. And then, of course, we met once, and then, we couldn't meet anymore. So then we FaceTime every week. And it really has kept me motivated. I said I write when I feel compelled to. And one reason I feel compelled to, or have felt compelled to this past year, is because I had this writing partner who I would swap pages with. And it was so great to sit there and talk things out with her about her pages and about my pages. So yes, I do have that community as well.
I am curious, as you get closer to contract deadline, do you find yourself more compelled? A little bit longer each day.
Yes, yes, exactly. And I think that it's very different. Writing to a contract, writing to a deadline is very different than not. So definitely having that contract and that looming deadline certainly does help me feel compelled. Because I know it's coming, right? Someone's asking for it on the other end, which is another good reason to have a critique group and a writing partner, right? Because someone's asking for it. You're accountable to someone else.
At this point, if you've got an idea, how does it work? Do you sit down and I'll write a few pages of this, or is it if I've got a strong enough idea? At what point do you want to get your agent, your editor involved? Because you don't want to spend a lot of time on something that, well, could you write something that no one would be interested in? No, at this point, probably not. So maybe that's not a concern.
Let's not figure that out. Let's test that theory. At this point, I involve my agent as soon as I have an idea, and I'll usually I'll write up a query letter, which is strange because she's already my agent, but it just helps me think. So I'll write up like a query letter and a synopsis, and I'll share it with my agent and my editor. And, and if it's a go, then I start working on that project. But because I've been so fortunate that I've been with the same imprint for all of my books, my editor and I and the team at Harper, we have a great relationship. So I kind of anticipate their questions, concerns if they have any, and it's a really great relationship. So, I can get them involved early in the process and feel confident going forward as I, set forth to write something. Now, that being said, that I haven't. Whenever I wrote Lalani of the Distant Sea, which was my first and only to date fantasy, I was I don't know if concerned is the right word, but I was curious what the reaction would be, because I had written realistic fiction and here I was going to write this fantasy, and they were incredibly supportive. I mean, there was no discouragement on their part. So if I said I want to write a space opera next, I don't know what they would say. But maybe it'd be the same thing where they're like, okay, we can try that, with like caution. But I don't know. At this point, I'm in a good spot at this point because I do involve them early in the process and have confidence going forward as I write the first draft.